I don't think there are many company names out there that are more
This is Auto Collabs.
authoritative than StoneEagle.
Yeah, that's what I think
Yeah,
of. I'm like,
it's somewhere in between government contractor,
Yes.
1993, you know, like
metal band. Yeah,
right.
so we're already thinking in the same way. Yeah,
And
or a character in Mighty Birds, Angry Birds.
and Angry Birds. Yes,
Yeah.
StoneEagle, launch StoneEagle.
Yeah,
Yes.
or code word. It could be a code word.
Oh, it's a project name, right? Project StoneEagle, right?
That's really
Yeah.
Matt
good.
Damon played the role, you know.
Co-starring
Cindy Allen.
who? Cindy Allen.
Cindy Allen,
That's what I was getting at.
CEO.
I think, is this the first time we're all meeting her?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Boy, she has no idea what she's in for.
She's the poor.
It's a good thing they can't see an intro before we do the recording because they might never show up. They're gonna call PR and be like, "Who booked this for me? Tell them they're fired."
Great. That's great.
I know.
Well, we really hope that you enjoy as much as we do meeting new people, and we hope you enjoy getting to meet Cindy Allen. Enjoy this conversation.
Cindy, it is always so much fun when we have a guest on the show that Michael or Kyle or myself don't have any experience or relationship with, because we ask all more fun questions, and I can tell just by your just by your energy, like coming into this call, that we're in for an amazing episode. So thank you for daring to get on the show with us today.
Paul, I don't know if you know this. But Cindy and I actually planned something for this. We're about to sing a duet. It's German.
She doesn't look like you planned this. I'm looking at her face if you're just listening to the podcast.
No,
we didn't plan it, but I actually sing in like 7 different languages. So I don't know what I'm saying when I sing in the other language. Hold on, one of them. I can sing Happy Birthday in Italian. That's the only one that I actually know what I'm saying.
Michael, he's doing the Italian hand gestures.
The Brahms Requiem. You want to do that one?
Yes, I can do Brahms Requiem. Let's do it.
This is where Mike pulls out a pitch pipe.
I know about you because you answer these wonderful questions from us, that you're a classically trained vocalist, correct? Like myself. You didn't know that. I know, right?
Fun.
So how did you go from, because I know how I went from I'm going to be a musician all of my life to that's not going to happen. How did that happen for you?
So I was doing a lot with music, and I met the man of my dreams, and all that didn't matter, and went down a pathway where now we've been married for a gazillion years, and he's been my partner in life and in business. And so I decided to answer the phone at StoneEagle after we got married, and I never got to leave. Well, I did leave for a little while, but I've been in it ever since. And auto is one of those things, you get into it and there's so many cool people. And it can be so much fun that, you just stay here.
Without a doubt. So you started in StoneEagle when it was a pretty small company, right?
Oh yeah, we had about 13 people in the business. We were family owned. Family started. My husband and his brothers and father started the business, and so somebody went on maternity leave. The lady at the front desk, and they asked me to come answer the phone, and so I started at the front desk. And today I have the privilege of serving the organization as the CEO. So
wow, what a trip!
Oh my goodness!
Just that's you've heard of them all.
It's been a phenomenal journey. I think the coolest thing was getting in trouble at the front desk, because you're just sitting there waiting for the phone to ring, and this was in the 90s, right? So I'm reading a book, or I was actually doing my nails one day when my brother.
There's no scrolling Facebook again.
There's no scrolling Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, so listen to this. I'm sitting there doing my nails. He comes in. He's like, "I do not pay you to paint your nails." And I said, "Okay, what do you want me to do while I'm waiting on the phone to ring?" And he said, "I don't know. figure out how to make us one of those www thingies. Okay, so that just dated myself significantly. I was on another meeting today when somebody introduced himself and they said, "Oh, I've been here for X gazillions of years." And I was like, "I am not telling you how long I have been in this industry." I just totally screwed that up now. But that started my journey from, sitting at the front desk and just waiting on things to happen to pursuing, making things happen. And so I found a book. And I found a little piece of software, and about a month later, I had the first website developed. And he basically said, "If you think you're so smart, figure out how to connect all of our insurance systems to the internet as well." And again, that no man or woman stands alone, right? So contacted IBM, we found the right partners, and we went on the journey of becoming, the first technology company in the insurance industry in auto that started connecting our big administration systems to the internet. And it was bleeding edge. Nobody trusted it. They were like,
right. Aren't you afraid you're gonna lose everything?
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
Like dealers didn't even have websites at that point.
Oh my gosh, no. And when we started connecting our systems to the internet, like one of the first things we did was they used to have to open books to get to the rating for F&I products. And one of the first things we did was create an online engine where all you had to do is put the VIN in and bam, it gave you the rates for everything. And
when I started, Cindy, when I started in the business in 2009, 10, and 11, some F&I managers were still opening up the book, flipping the pages, going down the table.
Edge. It was so far in front that it was so painful to try to teach people about it. But I was bringing, gosh, you guys are so young, you probably don't know what this is. I was bringing floppy disks with me to the dealership.
Maybe Kyle doesn't know.
The most kind CEO ever.
You did? No, hold on. Here's the real differentiator. Watch this, Cindy. Were your floppy disks actually floppy?
Yes.
I
had floppy disks,
like
and
5
I had
and
3.5 inches.
Okay,
I had both of them.
Okay.
He must
have gone to some nerd preschool because.
Oh my God. Well, I had to install AOL. At the dealership, and then teach them how to sign on to the internet first, and then I taught them how to sign on to our site, and then they would write down their user ID and password and stick it to the bottom of their keyboard because the only thing they were going to do was StoneEagle stuff online because we were the only thing there, right? But it was like pulling teeth, but it was a ton of fun. And gosh, I had the privilege of sitting in a lot of dealerships, and there's nothing like being feet on the ground to actually learn what's happening and figure out what kind of challenges people are facing so you can figure out how to solve them, right? So
do you ever feel like you look back at that time period, and if you were to fast forward it to today, where you're just like, we would have never been able to do that today? Like, you look at all the compliancy issues, and it was like the Wild West back then.
That's a good point. It is a good point. And, the reason why our business is so stable is because it was the Wild West in a lot of different ways. And so you had, even for years to come, with technology in general, you had organizations that were just super resilient. Dealers are a great example where they do whatever it takes to make business progress, right? So it doesn't matter that field is supposed to be used for that. I'm going to shove this other thing in it because I need to get something accomplished. And so I'm just going to use these systems however I want to. And what we have always focused on is, okay, let you be you. You go be wild, do all your wild things in your dealership or in whatever practice you're in, if you're a TPA or product provider. And then we help kind of normalize all that. So people can, what we learned as I sat in all those dealerships, I was thinking, man, if we're asking them to constantly change, first of all, it's going to throw them off their game, and it's going to be hard for them to have that sales conversation. We should support that instead of try to change that. And so we came to them instead of asking them to come to us and adhere to strict policies on where they put data and how they do it. And that's what we do. We help shape data to be standardized, and we take that from the Wild West that sometimes happens inside a dealership and help standardize it. So it's still kind of the Wild West in a lot of ways out there. But
that's a good point, actually.
It's up in there. In
That's a
in
good
those
point.
days, there was no standards, and from a compliance perspective, yes. Oh my goodness, there
I
are
have
a lot
to,
more things now.
I have to ask this because I'm so curious. I mean, our company stemmed from a family business. The dynamics of a family business are so interesting, right? And just looking at your journey as we get to know you a little bit better, at what point did you realize that you loved this business?
Gosh, it was very early on. And a lot of it had to do with how creative and resilient the whole industry was. But I said uncles and aunts, and we have multiple generations from multiple families, not just ours, in the business. And Jay Gillette, who's one of what I consider the godfathers of F&I, took me under his wing and knocked down the door to help me get into a lot of these dealerships. And that, having somebody who was trusted introduced me to them, and then they trusted me, and you get to know the kind of heart and soul of the folks in the business. That's when I fell in love with it. When you get to have interactions with the people, not just the business. So that's why I love your slogan, because
That's
I
right.
think it's all about the people. Our core purpose is making lives better. And from the day
You're gonna meet so many of your
Oh, my
friends
goodness.
really soon in this community. You really are. Friends and family that you didn't even know you had.
Well, we, from the beginning, like as I sat there teaching people how to sign in, are the people that like the Jay Gillettes of the world, the agents that were out in the field, would pick up these giant stacks of green bar paper. Do you guys know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So they would
Green
pick
bar
up
paper.
basically F&I logs
Yeah.
that have been printed and take it away, and some poor intern would type it into Excel or something, right? And then they build these charts and graphs and everything, come back like 60 days later and say, oh, here's how you performed in living color instead of just in data. And I was like, that's crazy. There's got to be a better way. That poor intern, this poor agent who's having to carry all
Right.
this
They're back there
right?
just rethinking their life decisions to that point, right?
Yeah. Why am I doing this? This is crazy. And just thinking, gosh, there's got to be a better way to help them. And that's where our metrics product was born, from that kind of process of going, man, there's got to be a better way for them to get so much more accomplished. I mean, they're so talented. Most people in the agency world they're great at helping somebody in the F&I office just kind of get better and better and better at what they do. And wouldn't it be great if they just got to spend their time doing that instead of picking up paper and coming back later on to go through stale data and stale information?
You know what? I think we're all musicians here, so I'm just going to call it like I see it. I think musicians make the greatest entrepreneurs and business change people, especially those that have played in a band or like a garage band or a jazz band or something like that. And you mentioned, Cindy, that you love jazz, because like if you think about jazz, right, it actually is very akin to what you just said. You're like, I don't know, maybe you're back there on the drums and you're right? And all of a sudden, like you just look over and it feels like the pianist needs a little something. Maybe they need to go off over here, and you can just tell. And so you're like, and all of a sudden the pianist takes that and just like moves with it. And I think that that's what musicians can kind of see in the world, right? Because they can see like,
yeah.
I think that there's something missing from like the way that person is interacting with their job or their role or things like that. And what you're calling out there, it's not actually natural for most people to take that as their first step, to kind of walk into a room and go, I see an opportunity over there that's like, it's adjacent but similar to what we're doing now, and I can draft on that, pull that in, and make that person almost shine more, right? Give them the freedom to do what they do better because I've given them access. And so I think like that allows you to continually be entrepreneurial and not get stuck in one place. And I'm guessing, you left and did some things outside of auto, but have now come back and been at StoneEagle now for a little while. And the pace of change right now in our industry is hard for anyone to kind of keep up with, but let alone, a company that does have some legacy attached to it, right? And so how do you, now that you kind of like know what that felt like early on, how do you take that and inject that into today, and yet like stay resilient as a company that's grown, but also stay flexible and like move like a jazz band, right?
Yeah. It's the and one of the things that I always say, we've grown significantly over the years. We've had the privilege of acquiring some other businesses and things like that. And people tell you, well, you can't be a cool, soul-oriented, family-oriented business and be large and grow and have a massive footprint. And I always say it's the and. If we concentrate on the and of being both, very rooted in who we are from a DNA perspective and focus on growth, we can accomplish it. But we have to focus on the end. Like we have to purposely do
right.
it.
It's never going to happen organically once you start scaling to that size. It's going to naturally migrate the other way.
Exactly. Well, the urgent always outweighs the strategic, in the moment, in the heat of the moment. And so unless you're really focused on making sure you have that balance. And so from a keeping up perspective, it's sort of the same thing. We're rooted in that, direct relationship with the end user, the end consumer, and all the sort of steps in the distribution cycle in between. And kind of like you have to be out there. You have to be touching what's happening in the industry to kind of keep it top of mind, and so you can keep moving forward. So it's a principle for us as an organization to like continue to be curious, continue to be innovative, and kind of don't settle for, well, it's because we've always done it that way. If it's stupid and it's broken, let's figure out how to fix it. And if we see any kind of way to use what's happening, and a lot of it is supporting other organizations and other teams that come up with phenomenal ideas. Our customers are brilliant in so many ways, and they come up with great ideas and partner with us to help solve them. And that's phenomenal. So again, back to people, right? Like not just who you know, but how you treat the people that you do know.
Okay. I've got two questions here. The first one is for my own selfish ambitions. As a vocalist and a leader, and I promise I'll get us back here, but I have to know, do you ever notice, like, what are your thoughts on the passive aggressive singing guidance? Like someone's not pulling their weight. Because like I notice sometimes vocalists, they tend to do this. What are your thoughts?
That's something I've never thought about, actually.
Well, now you're gonna notice if you do. I'm just kidding. What I really want to know, obviously a company such as yours, someone who integrated so early on with technology, and now moving into this fast-paced environment like you and Kyle have just brought up. What are you seeing now from a data perspective? How have things changed? What are some of the insights that you're getting out of the data that you guys can see across the industry that you think is just really important for our industry to know?
Man, I think, the first thing that I get from our data is that it's not the same as what people feel is actually happening in the industry. And so there's a period of time, and let's take COVID, for instance, where it's like, oh my goodness, the sky is falling. But when we looked at data, yes, there was a couple of months that were really, really hard. And the bounce back from that was so phenomenal. And today, we had this giant spike in that pent up demand from a buying perspective. And then it kind of feels like, oh man, it's not great in phases. And I just look at data and I'm like, that's actually not what's actually happening right now. And so that's my favorite thing, is to say, disconnect from what you feel is happening and actually trust information that's actually showing you the truth of what's going on in the business and at a big picture level in the industry. And so, for us, we're seeing what we think is a new norm that's so much higher from a performance perspective in the F&I office than we've ever had. And things like, remember the days where we would take a hit on a new car and just like we would lose money on the car because we would try to make it up in other areas. And that was just kind of the norm. When you looked at front gross and the differences between new and used, but just kind of on average, it was like very low. We just accepted that. And it's totally different now. And after the interest rate craziness and a lot of things changed there, we kind of settled. And I was had the privilege of talking with one of our partners who is an OEM and was kind of poking around at that. And their thinking was, hey, one day it'll probably go back down. But man, we're seeing when we look at the data's telling us we're doing a great job as an industry maintaining front grosses that are positive, and they're actually significantly more than they were pre the norm that was the norm the last time there was norm, right, which was in 2019. And so we're seeing things like that happen that are really they're awesome. They reflect the resiliency of this industry and the creative ways that we tackle problems, and we just don't back down, and we keep pushing. And that's dealerships are the engine that runs that.
Yes.
I think the theme actually goes back to like you being the receptionist that goes, yeah, let me take that and try it. And I think if others can go, oh, so you're telling me that like it's not as bad as the news media is telling us, and like if I actually look at my data
every day,
it's probably fine. And the F&I penetration rates and the front end grosses as an industry are good. So why don't I expect that as an organization? Then dealers can continue to play jazz with their team.
Totally.
Listen. Before we wrap this up, I'm gonna tell you and let you in on the real reason we wanted you on the show today. And yeah, this is gonna be great. You're gonna love it. I hope you have some real hard hitting information for us, because you moved to travel for a while, the travel industry. Right, you were the CEO of a company called GDSX, which was acquired by Concur, which a lot of people who travel understand what Concur is. That was acquired by SAP, which I'm not even sure what SAP does. Right? Are they the company that's like, we don't make the products you use, we make the products you use better? Is that SAP?
That's a great question.
Okay, just like, I don't know. All I know is they bought it. Okay, but after that, you served as the CMO for American Express Global Business Travel. And as business travelers, we need you to tell us one secret about the American Express system that we probably don't know that's going to get us into everywhere we want to get into.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I signed an NDA, and there are some secrets that you just can't share. No.
Offline, AKA sounds like we need to have a coffee at a soda.
Yeah. She was like, but trust me, I get in every lounge.
She's like, trust me, so you're saying there's a chance aliens are real. Cindy, it's been so much fun having this conversation. I knew it was going to be amazing like this. Looking forward to spending a little time in person. And as always, thank you for giving us some time and joining us today on Auto Collabs.
Thank you. It's great to spend time with you guys too.
What an incredible story, guys.
A hero's journey,
I mean, it really ties back to
this Project StoneEagle.
It is.
I wish I would have asked.
CEO of a tech company and everything in between. The American Express stuff is
with such a cheery disposition for working in a family business,
Right.
What do you mean for working in a family business as someone who's worked in a family business?
I'm just saying, like, there's days, right, where you're like, I'm gonna rip.
I hate my family so much.
Yes. Yeah. And then later you're like, okay, Dad, what time's dinner?
Yeah. I'm gonna go play catch.
Well, I think it is any of these businesses that span time like this across an industry that has kind of like grown up alongside tech, not been built in to the tech industry. It is a challenge to constantly stay ahead and stay innovative. And so the fact that she challenges herself and challenges her team to figure out how they can support dealers with the tech and the things that they're building and not just sit on the sidelines or let their size or whatever, just kind of let it coast is really encouraging to me. And I think it speaks to the, I was a receptionist. Someone asked if I could do this and I went for it. I tried it,
I just got to say this, and maybe we can factor this into the next time we do an ASOTUCon. We always have such great networking event the first night, right? And good vibes and good conversations. Let's not gloss over that Cindy, the CEO of StoneEagle, is a classically trained vocalist.
Come on now.
I mean, her and Kyle are going to hit that duet.
Can we not book her? We'd be like, Cindy, come and sing. Come be the vocal. Come be the entertainment.
There's so many great musicians in auto. We've talked about this on a podcast.
We're going to
There's
do
a
that
thing about
one
music.
year. One
and
year
the
is going to
creative
be
and
a
the
thing.
inventive. Yeah.
It's going to happen, guys. Anyways, listen, we hope you enjoyed this episode with Cindy Allen. She's the CEO of StoneEagle. What a pleasant treat to get to know her today. On behalf of Paul J. Daly, Kyle Mountsier, myself, Michael Cirillo, thanks for joining us on Auto Collabs.
Welcome to Auto Collabs.
Why are we recording?